Hey, it's Aaron. Today I have a question from Kyle. Kyle wants to know. I had to look, sorry. I don't always remember details that aren't about the cars themselves. Anyway, uh, Kyle wants to know why all these vehicles are going over to having touch screens for everything and no more buttons, and then why that trend is being bucked again, so why it's changing. That's paraphrasing. His question was fairly lengthy, but that pretty much boils it down. So the short answer is that touch screens are cheaper. It's cheaper to install one screen and have the software do the work than it is to install multiple buttons and all the wires and stuff that go with them, and then route all of that all over the place to a computer inside and have it run things. That's the short answer. That's why most manufacturers are moving over to screens. The other reason is because one guy does it, everybody sees that, other people follow because it's a trend now. So we see a lot of that where, you know, a couple of years ago there were only 3 or 4 like 5 years ago pretty much Tesla was the only manufacturer with pop-out door handles. Now all of them have it somewhere. Most cars manufacturers have figured out pop-out door handles are way more aerodynamic and pretty ergonomic and it's a visual indicator of the car is locked now and all that kind of stuff. So it's becoming more and more of a trend. In those, there are safety things that go along with it. So there are a couple different designs that are not the Tesla design that is well known for not working at bad moments. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. So on the subject of buttons versus screens, there have now been some studies. Kia did a study just very recently that was basically a survey of Kia customers where they asked, do you prefer buttons and knobs or everything on a screen? And almost overwhelmingly, people said they prefer the buttons and knobs. A separate study done earlier, which I believe was late last year, about this time last year, showed that it's actually safer to have hard buttons and switches for things than to have it on a screen because it's less distracting. People don't tend to look away for as long or even at all. If they know where the volume knob is, they'll just reach over and do the volume. If they know where the defrost button is or whatever, they'll just reach over and hit it. They don't have to look necessarily, or they can corner the eye it. So the trend now is to figure out which buttons and switches still need to exist and which ones can be eliminated and moved to a screen. Everybody's going to have an opinion on that. My personal opinion is that if it is something that I use regularly and it is a safety thing, it should have a button. So by that I mean if it is volume or tuning or let's see, heated and cooled seats, I much prefer to have either a permanent spot on the screen or a permanent button for that. And for safety reasons, defrost should always have a button. And that is, as far as I know, federally mandated. As far as having to have it always there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a button, but it does have to always be visible and available in the same position. So yeah, those are the bare essentials that I prefer to have hard buttons for or to always have access to. After that, it starts to get a little more ambiguous. I don't necessarily need to change all the climate stuff. So most people, when they get in a car, when you own the car especially, you probably have one temperature setting and you're done. So you've set the temperature at 70 degrees or whatever is your preferred. You have it on auto. You most likely almost never touch that again. You will do details, so you'll do the seat heating or cooling. You will maybe do the defrosts, of course, but other than that, you're probably not changing anything on your climate stuff once you've set it. Same with screen settings. You're probably not doing that. Now, if you do have a screen and a majority of stuff is on the screen, there should be an extremely visible, obvious, and mostly always in the same location, home button for that to take you back to the home screen. That's more or less become a given in most of the UIs, the user interfaces, but not always. There are still a few companies where I look at their screen and I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing on this thing. Lexus, good example. The different cars will have different things in different places. It's not the same system all the way across the board. And then some of the stuff, I just can't find it. But most of the time, once you own the car, once you're in it a lot, you're going to know where everything is. So, but again, the question was buttons versus screens, and overwhelmingly people want buttons. And manufacturers are catching on to that. And what I'm seeing in new vehicles when I get them, I'm seeing the migration from the screen back to hard buttons for a lot of those things that we use all the time. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that answers this question, Kyle. If it doesn't, let me know, but I'm pretty sure this is what you needed to know. All right, if you have a question, you can hit me up. Just comment down below, find me on aarononautos.com, whatever you need to do, just figure out how to get a hold of me and ask me that question. There's a lot of ways to talk to me. Kyle here got through to me on Instagram, so if that works, do that. Anyway, that's all I got. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.